tamad lumabas.
Yun lang, ang
Kasi
init
sobrang,
po.
sobrang init. Yan.
Opo.
So, sige sir, start tayo in 2 minutes.
Okay, sige
And
po.
then,
Sige.
pa-record na lang din ulit, sir, on your part dun sa cloud.
Okay po. Based pa sa last time, meron po ba tayong mga questions dyan from the students na pwede natin daanan later siguro? Does anyone have something na hindi nila ma-resolve on their own? At least ma-park natin. Kasi later mag-con tayo. Responsibility centers, hindi siya ganun katagal. Or at least pag magdi-discuss tayo together kasi I believe it's intuitive. So, marami akong itatanong na question later. Kasi it's something that relates to all of us. So, I hope that's something that we all see now. So, sige, start tayo in 1 minute. And if you have any questions, ayun, house rules lang naman. Latag nyo lang po sa chat. And then we'll get back to it as soon as possible. Yung screen ko. Nasa PowerPoint siya ngayon na nagsishare. Clear naman po ba? Sige. Thank you. Alright, so ayun, balik tayo sa pinag-usapan natin last time. No? Pero last time kasi nag-focus tayo sa variances. And of course, it's not for everyone. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, it's not intuitive for everyone. Kasi ang dami mong sinosolve. Diba? Kung may gusto kong mapulot yung from last time, again, dalawa lang naman yung perspective mo dyan. Diba? Kung paano isolve yung variable na variances tapos yung sa fixed overhead. And it's as simple as comparing rates and comparing quantities. Tapos sa quantities, meron siyang breakdowns, diba? And again, all of those, yung computations na nakita mo, minsan sakit siya sa ulo, ginagawa natin kasi we need to ask more intelligent questions when it comes to running our business. Diba? Ganun naman siya eh. The numbers don't mean anything unless may mapulot ka na information to do the things better next time. Diba? Kaya last time in-highlight ko rin, very important ang variance analysis or yung mismong performance management. Sa plan, do, check, act. Diba? So sa planning natin, execution, and then chine-check natin how we compare to yung original plans natin. And mag-feedback loop siya. Diba? Ganun naman lagi. So it's not about being perfect. It's more about, yun nga, diba? Throwing something out there, taking intelligent risks sa business. And then using the feedback. Kasi hindi mo naman masisigurado na mananalo ka lagi. Diba? Importantly, you have small wins, and big wins. Diba? Pwede rin ang small losses. Just don't expose yourself to big losses. Pero hindi natin topicin ngayon more on risk management yan. Pero you use that feedback to plan better. Now, ang susunod natin, tapos tayo sa variance analysis, diba? In general tayong titingin. Kasi variance analysis is only one part of how we evaluate yung operations natin. And sabi natin kanina, nung last week, diba? It's always about how you manage yung managers. How you evaluate yung managers. Bakit hindi yung staff? Diba? Pwede rin naman, no? Pero, nagfo-fall kasi siya into a deeper topic. And that is on responsibility centers and reporting segments. Ano ba yung importance nito? So, the first question is, diba, what are responsibility centers? responsibility centers natin, pahid ko lang to. Something. Alright. So, ang responsibility centers kasi, diba? These are any part of an organization. Diba? It could be a product line, a geographical area, or kung ano man business unit yung gusto mong i-evaluate separately. So, bakit natin ito ginagawa? Yung mga next slides ko medyo corny, no? Pero sana mabuhayin tayo ng onti, kahit onti lang. So, familiar ba itong phrase na to sa inyo? With great power comes great responsibility. So, kung mahilig kayo sa Marvel, usually, alam niyo to dahil kay Spider-Man. Diba? So, hindi natin papag-usapan si Spider-Man. Yes, po?
Pa-interrupt po. Pa-record po, sir. Sensya na.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. Nakalimutan ko po. My bad. Ayan. Thank you so much for reminding, sir.
Recording in progress.
So again, no? More on recap naman yung kanina. So again, for the purpose of the recording, no, i-reinstate ko lang. Responsibility centers, diba? Variance analysis is just a small part of how we evaluate our people. It's just one of the ways, diba? So ngayon we'll talk about responsibility centers and reporting segments. And again, a responsibility center is any part of an organization. No? Lahat ng gusto mong ihiwalay. Pwede. It could be a product line, a geographical area, a different department, or any business unit na gusto mong i-evaluate separately. So, why are we on this slide right now? With great power comes great responsibility. Kasi, no, we're not gonna talk about Spider-Man. We are gonna talk about power and responsibility. Bakit? The more power that you have, the more responsibility comes your way. What do we mean by that? Now imagine, magsa-start ka ng sarili mong organization. Diba? Ikaw, I want this to be from your perspective. Gagawa ka ng business mo. Diba? Isipin mo yung dream business mo. Now sa una, madali lang yan. Diba? Siyempre, mahirap siyang itayo. Pero once it's up and running, diba? Ilan lang naman kayo. Pag small scale ka, ilang tao lang yung hawak mo. Diba? So, I don't know what you expected from the CMA. Pero, yun nga, diba? Nandun sa word niya mismo, managerial. So, you're gonna have to learn, diba? Ang topic natin ngayon is how to manage your people. How to be a leader that can motivate. Diba? Pero, walang discussion sa soft skills, ha? Just on how the numbers are used to bring the best out in our people. So, pag unti lang kasi yung tao mo, sabihin mo, ikaw yung boss, tapos 5 yung hawak mo. Diba? Ang daling makipag-communicate. Tapos kapag may kailangan kang i-correct, oh pare, halika dito, bakit ganito yung gawa mo? Diba? Mas maganda ata na ganito. Kasi 5 lang yung hawak mo, diba? It's so easy, it's so convenient to reach out. Pero, ano nangyari pag palaki ka ng palaki? Imagine mo na abot mo yung level ni SM dito sa Pilipinas. Diba? Or multinational tayo. Kanina nakakita ako ng magandang sasakyan, so sasabihin ko Toyota. Diba? Imagine mo, ganun nakalaki yung business mo. Kaya mo bang i-monitor lahat ng tao? Diba? You could range from 100. Diba? 100 pa lang, medyo nakakatakot ng humawak ng 100 people. Diba? What more if 1,000? 10,000? And sa tingin mo ba, from your perspective, 10,000 people, kaya mong i-handle ikaw yung pinaka nasa tuktok. Tapos lahat sila babantayan mo. Mahirap. Diba? So, anong ginagawa natin, diba? Bakit ba nagkakaroon ng responsibility centers, reporting segments, diba? Meron rin kasi tayong tinatawag na isang concept. And this is a very important concept. No? Again, kung mahilig ka sa Marvel na, you will see etong stone sa movies. Ako hindi ko pa napapanood lahat eh. Pero, they have these things called Infinity Stone. So, for those of you na hindi naman mahilig sa ganun, imagine mo lang, kapag pinagsama lahat ng stones na to, ang taong nakahawak niya can have the power to destroy the universe. So, anong ginawa nila para ma-mitigate yung risk na yan? Diba? Para hindi malaki yung chance na masira yung mundo, pinaghiwalay na lang nila. And that's something that's similar to our topic right now. It's decentralization. Imagine mo kung ikaw yung may hawak ng 10,000 people, they all report directly to you. Paano ka na niyan? Diba? May problema yung isa, may problema pa yung isa. Diba? Hindi makakagalaw yung isa. 3 pa lang yung minimension ko. Doon pa lang mahirapan ka na sa isang araw. Imagine 10,000 people. Diba? So anong ginagawa natin? you cannot leave a legacy behind kung ikaw lang ang iniisip mo. Diba? That's a phrase na nakalimutan ko kung sinong nagpatanon sa akin. Pero it's really important to me rin. Diba? Ang ibig sabihin no, is your legacy doesn't stop with you on a personal level. And when you run a business, diba, you can't be successful if you don't rely on other people. So, decentralization, eto na yung type na may hawak ka 10,000 people. Or sige, untahan natin para hindi nakaka-intimidate. 1,000 people hawak mo. Anong ginagawa mo para ma-manage mo pa rin effectively ang 1,000 people kahit ikaw yung nasa tuktok? Diba? They don't all report directly to you. Kaya, diba? Kaya meron tayong org chart, diba? Meron tayong CEO, sa baba niya, may mga ibang types of managers, diba? Kaya meron tayong top-level management, tapos may mid-level management pa, and then lower-level management. So, that's the concept of the decentralization. Binibigay mo, diba? Dinedelegate mo yung mga ibang responsibilities so that you can focus on the things that matter. And then yung mga pag-put out ng fires sa baba, diba? Firefighting, for those of you not familiar with the term, pag may problema, sino mag-aayos, diba? That's called firefighting. So inaayos mo yung mga problema kapag nagkakaroon. So you can't do that for everyone. So nakakaroon ka ng structure. And something that's important here is that decentralization isn't just passing your work to other people, diba? Just like how we view delegation. Ang delegation, di mo lang naman binibigay, o sige, eto, bahala ka na. Basta bigay mo sa akin yung kailangan mo. You have to make sure that your people are capable, diba? You have to make sure that they have the necessary support to carry out their duties. So, when you think of decentralization, I don't want you to think of, diba, pagpasa ng trabaho. Huwag ganun. It's more on empowerment. Diba? Gumagawa ka ng junior na ikaw or isa pang ikaw. Mas maganda pa ngayon eh. Para, diba? It feels like you can be at many places at one time. Kasi, meron kang lower level managers who report to the middle level managers and then they resolve the issues na kaya nilang i-resolve. And then, i-escalate na lang nila yung mga hindi nila kaya i-resolve. Or yung kailangan yung pag-usapan na sa group. Diba? So, ang pumupunta na lang sa inyo as top-level management, ano na? Diba? Kung may sarili kayong business. Yung mga importante ng bagay. Yung kailangan talaga kayo. Diba? So, related rin yun sa pinag-usapan natin last week. Meron tayong sinabing management by exception. Diba? Yun yung sinusubukan din natin abutin through decentralization. Ang hindi mo kailangan patulan, ipahawak mo dun sa iba na pay grade nila yung issue niyo. Diba? Pero that brings to mind a question. Sabihin natin, nagpatayo ka na ng business mo, umabot kayo 10,000 people, naglagay ka ng structures. Ikaw na yung top-level management, diba? Congratulations sa'yo. Meron ka ng mid-level managers. Tapos, diba? Yung mga low-level managers mo. Paano mo isisigurado na tama yung gawa nila? Diba? So, hindi mo sila makikita lahat. Diba? You can't see how each and every staff member, diba? Or member ng organization mo, yung mga staff mo, hindi mo sila makikita lahat. Pati yung sa mga lower level managers, hindi mo makikita yan. Ang makikita mo yung mga directly reporting sa inyo. Diba? I know that you guys are also working on teams of your own. Diba? Do you have direct correspondence with people above your direct reporting line? Kung ikaw accountant ka, tapos kausap mo yung accounting supervisor or accounting manager, baka nakikita mo yung CFO, pero hindi mo naman siya nakakausap lagi. Diba? And what more sa CEO niya? Mga ganun type. Diba? So, from that perspective, ikaw hindi mo siya nakakausap, siya rin hindi ka niya nakakausap. So, kung ikaw yung CEO, paano mo malalaman kung performing ba lahat ng takang natin? Diba? So, babalik tayo sa intro to variance analysis. We have to measure their performance. Pero, diba, minimeasure natin yung performance nila, i-evaluate natin yung performance nila. The next question is something personal. Ang tanong ko sa inyo, how do you want to be evaluated? Yun yung next slide natin. How should we evaluate managers? Pero, I don't want you to think of this as something detached. Wag yung tipong, ako, CMA ako, gusto ko mag-exam may ibang way kung paano mag-evaluate ng manager. Ikaw rin magiging manager someday. Diba? Ikaw rin magmamanage ka ng manager someday. Hopefully. Kaya nga tayo kumukuha ng extra certifications, diba? So, how do you want to be evaluated? Yun yung tanong ko. And usually, ang sagot dito, eto lang naman eh, from our end. We want to be evaluated fairly. Diba? On the perspective of the manager, diba? Kung ikaw yung owner ng business, eto naman gusto mo. Effective ang performance evaluation metrics mo. So what does it mean to be fair? Ito lang naman siya. Diba? It has to be reasonable. It has to be controllable. Controllable na pag-usapan natin yan sa variance analysis. When you evaluate someone, it should be on metrics that they can control. Kung ikaw si production manager, anong trabaho mo? Gusto mong ilabas yung items. You want to produce as much inventory as they are asking of you with high quality. Diba? So nagproduce ka. May kinalaman ka ba sa sales? Wala. Diba? Yung quality ng item mo, yes, sige. Isama mo yan sa 4 P's of marketing. Diba? So, yung quality ng item mo, yun, dun ka responsible. Pero are you responsible for looking for leads? Diba? Maghanap ng mga clients. Diba? Mag-stimulate ng demand. Wala kang kinalaman dun. So, how would you feel if production manager ka, hindi mo trabaho ang sales, i-evaluate ka based on sales volume? Diba? Nakita ng manager mo, uy, may volume variance tayo. Kakaltasan ko yung sahod mo. Matutuwa ka ba? Hindi, diba? Awayin mo pa ngayon o baka mag-resign ka pa. So, yun yung aspect ng, diba? When we talk about metrics being fair, they also have to be controllable. So, dapat may influence yung tao na ine-evaluate mo doon sa metric na yun. Ano ba? Diba? Pwede naman ine-evaluate mo siya based on something controllable. Like for example, defects. Diba? Kontrolado niya naman yung defects. Na-influence niya ang defects based on the practices within the production plan. Diba? So is he making sure na kung ikaw production manager ka, sinisigurado mo ba na lahat ng equipment mo okay lang? Diba? Yung systems of work mo sa loob, okay siya? Yung mga tao mo, nalalati ko mo ng maayos para kumilos, diba? Yung materials, nako-communicate mo kay purchasing department yung quality na kailangan mo. Diba? Kung nagawa mo yun, chances are nagawa mo na yung trabaho mo as a production manager. Siyempre, may reporting ka pa, and then looking for innovative ways. Diba? Looking for innovation within how you produce to make things better. So, sige, sabihin natin controllable yung metric natin. Ito lang yung metric natin. Defect, kunwari. Controllable? Yes. Well, because of the systems of work within the production plan, ano nangyayari? Oops, hindi pa marunong mag-spelling. Ayan, defect. Ayan. So, defect. Ang gusto natin, diba? Reasonable yung amount ng defects mo. So, at first glance, okay. Diba? Kayang-kaya yan. At trabaho ko naman talaga as a production manager na babaan yung amount ng defects na naproproduce. Diba? Everybody happy? Yes. Diba? Pero, eto yung tanong ko sa'yo. Paano kung ang sabi ko sa'yo dapat 0% defects ka? Pero historically, hindi siya maiwasan with the quality of equipment that we have. May 5% defects. Ito normal na. Around it. Tapos sabi ko sa'yo, hindi dapat. Wala ka dapat defect ni isa. Anong mangyayari sa'yo? Diba? Matutuwa ka ba? Hindi yan achievable eh. Diba? Is it reasonable? No. Diba? Kahit controllable ka, mamomotivate ka ba? Hindi. Diba? Tapos, kung pipilitin yan ng management and ikaw hindi ka magre-resign, kunwari, ito lang talaga yung trabaho na pwede sa'yo in the world. Diba? Or masyado ka nang secure sa trabaho mo, ayaw mo umalis. So, kahit hindi achievable yung standard na yan, anong gagawin mo? umalis. Diba? Hindi ka pwede mag-disagree. Mamaya, dayahin mo. Diba? Dadayahin mo yan. Kasi hindi ka alis. Kailangan mo naman ma-meet yan. Kung hindi mo siya ma-meet, ano mangyayari sa'yo? Meron negative consequences. Baka tanggalin nila yung bonus mo. Gusto mo ba yun? Diba? Babaan nila yung performance rating mo. Hindi ka mag-promote or something. Diba? Hindi ka ma-increasean ng sahod next year. Mga tipong ganun. So, these are things that we feel on a personal level as working professionals. Diba? So, when we talk later about how to evaluate people, sana hindi siya alien Hindi siya, sabi kasi ng libro ganito. Hindi. Diba? Tao ka. Ikaw rin na-evaluate. So, that's a mindset that you have to pick up later. Okay? So, 2 mindsets ang dadalhin mo ngayon. Ikaw as yung taong ini-evaluate at ikaw as yung tao na mang-e-evaluate. Diba? And hindi naman yan alien May separate perspectives lang tayo. And meron tayong separate goals. Kung ikaw, yung ine-evaluate, gusto mo, diba? Mataas yung evaluation mo. Kung ikaw yung nag-evaluate, ang gusto mo lang, gumagaling yung tao mo. Dahil sa feedback. Okay? Anong sabi natin last week? Yung metrics na nakukuha natin, they are not immediate signals for reward and punishment. No. They are signals for you to investigate what's going on and find the root causes of issues so that we can improve. Diba? Ang pag-reward sa good behavior and pag-punish sa bad behavior, secondary after ng mindset mo na improve. Okay? Alright. So, eto kasi just so you, kung hindi mo pa siya ma-picture, I'll share from one of our clients. Wala naman ako ni-name drop. Bawal yun sa amin. Bawal rin yun sa inyo, probably. So, meron kaming client, manufacturer siya. So, malaking kinikita niya, at least a year, 1 billion pesos. Nagmamanufacture siya, tapos, sadly, very capital intensive siya. Pero, ang main metric niya talaga is quota. Diba? So, nagmamanufacture siya, ang hinahanap niya lagi quota. Naproproduce ba yung amount ng items na hinihingi? So, anong speed of production, ilan yung nalalabas every day, diba? Doon nila binabase yung performance ng operator ng machine. So, I think na-mention ko rin ito dati, pero hindi ko sinabi na client ko nung last week. Pero ganun na ganun yung scenario. Ano nangyayari? Yung quota kasi, based yan sa performance ng dalawang bagay. Yung machine, tapos yung tao, diba? So, machine and then labor. Pero, kung nagka-defect yung machine, diba? Kasalanan ba yun ni labor? In most cases, hindi naman. Diba? Malay mo, hindi pala on top yung engineering department nila to check if update lagi yung machines. Or hindi up-to-date, sorry, software. Ito na iniisip ko. If tama pa rin yung takbo ng machines. Diba? So, anong nangyari? Kapag nagka-defects yung machine, anong mangyayari kay labor? Diba? Anong mangyayari sa operator? Negative yung performance evaluation mo. Hindi mo naabot yung quota. Ang tanong, kasalanan niya ba? Hindi. It's not controllable on his part. Hindi naman siya yung nag-aayos ng machines. Hindi naman siya technician. Diba? So, ano nangyayari dito? Minsan, pinapataas nila yung efficiency rate ng machine to a point na hindi dapat. Kasi usually when you have a machine, hindi mo siya pwedeng itakbo at 100% efficiency. Ano mangyayari dyan? Diba? Nagkakaroon tayo ng defects. Minsan, nasisira yung loob ng machine. Diba? Nahihirapan yung makina, something like that. Usually, mga 80 to 90% yung efficiency rate na ginagamit ng client na to. And then, based on historical data, yun yung nagpapatakbo ng machine nila na hindi ganun ka necessary ang repairs and maintenance. Pero, sige, naglalabas tuloy si operator ng mas maraming units ng inventory. Pero, ano nangyayari? Dahil nga, ino-overload niya yung machine, minsan, maraming defect. Diba? So, ano nangyayari dito? Doon sa defects na yon, hindi niya sinasabi na galing sa kanya. Kasi pag sinabi niya na galing sa kanya yung defect, tatanggalin yung amount of items produced niya. Diba? Kasi dun sa manufacturing plant na yun, meron kang, hindi ko pala masabi na, Section 1, Section 2, Section 3, Section 4. Ayan. So si Section 1, i-overload niya yung machine, hindi niya sasabihin na galing sa kanya yung defect para mapasa sa ibang department. Pero ma-meet niya pa rin yung quota niya. Diba? Bakit ganun yung nangyari? First off, parang yung unang example natin. Etong company kasi na to, kumukuha siya ng mga tao na walang defined skill set. Diba? Yung hindi pinagpala. So yun lang yung alam nilang trabaho. Hindi naman sila pwedeng umalis. Pero kapag hindi nila na-meet yung quota, ayun na nga, minsan sinacharge sa kanila yung mga hindi na-meet. Or kapag may defect rin, sinacharge rin sa kanila. So that's another thing. No? Ang nangyayari doon, yun yung isang reason bakit ayaw nilang umamin na nagkakaroon ng defect. Kasi sinacharge sa kanila, whether normal type of defect siya o hindi. So, anong nangyayari? We've essentially built a culture wherein ilabas mo yung quota mo. Pag may defect, huwag mong sabihin kasi hindi ka makakakain mamaya kapag sinabi mo na may defect. Diba? So, kapag tinatago ng tao mo na may problema sa machine, maaayos mo ba agad yung machine? Definitely not. Diba? Kapag hindi nila sinasabi na sa kanila galing yung defect, malalaman mo ba dito sa 4 na department kung ano dapat yung i-correct? Again, hindi. Diba? Wala kang accountability. So, hindi mo alam na, ay, yung machines pala sa number 1 sira. Kasi walang gustong umamin. Kasi matcha-charge sa kanila. Diba? So, essentially, ang ginawa mo, hindi na aligned yung gusto ng tao mo sa baba. Sa gusto ng mga top-level managers. So, that's something that we'll talk about later. Na. Pero, it's something called, how do you say this? Goal incongruence. Diba? I'll spell it. So, ang dami kong sinabi. Let's let it sink in for a little while. Goal incongruence. Sorry ha. Pangit talaga ng sulat ko. Wag na kayong umasa na gaganda pa siya. Pangarap ko pa rin mag-law pero hindi ko pa rin maayos yung sulat ko. So we have goal incongruence. Congruence simply means alignment. Diba? You are congruent when what you think is the same as what you say and what you say is the same as what you do. Ganun lang kasimple ang concept ng congruence. And if you are incongruent as a person, iba yung iniisip mo, sa sinasabi mo, sa ginagawa mo. In the context of an organization, diba? Kung iba yung gusto ni top-level management sa ginagawa ng company and sa ginagawa ng mga tao niya sa loob, you have a case of incongruence. Diba? So how do we solve this? You have to evaluate people. Doon na pumapasok yung fairness and effectiveness. So fairness is for moral purposes. Diba? You never want to make your people feel that they are working towards nothing. Diba? You want to keep them happy, you want to keep them motivated para ma-milk mo. Diba? I'll put it cleanly. Diba? You want to milk your people out of you. Diba? Kaya nilang ibigay sa'yo. From a capitalist perspective, diba? Pero in nicer terms, and ito nga sana yung maabot natin, we want to keep our people happy and motivated para they provide us value and they also feel like we're providing them value aside from just yung salary, diba? A happy workplace. Pero yun nga, it also has to be effective. So the way you evaluate people has to align them, diba? It has to force them to want what you want, diba? Pero hindi naman siya force in the sense na gusto ko yumaman yung company so pipilitin ko yung taong to love my company. Hindi, diba? Maraming gumagawa nun, diba? Nag-indoctrinate tayo ng mga tao sa organizations natin. We make them feel like yung organization na yun is their home and stuff like that. Para hindi na sila umalis, mamatay sila para sa'yo. You don't need to do that. No. I'm not saying it's not effective. Sadly, it is. Kaya ang daming gumagawa, diba? Parang military. Diba? Anyways, pwede mo rin gawin na i-align mo yung gusto nila. And kapag na-meet yung gusto mo, makukuha rin nila yung gusto nila. What's an example of this? Profit sharing, for example. Diba? So we have profit sharing. Ayan. So, ang dami kong examples ngayon. These specific examples you might not see in the exam. Pero the concepts I want to show you so far are goal congruence. Ang kasama rin dito, if you have goal incongruence, you usually have the term myopic behavior. Parang tunnel vision yung dating niya. Myopic, bigla ako na mental block. Pero it's like seeing yung short term muna. Diba? Focus ka sa short term, hindi mo na nakikita yung long term. No? So, ayun, when that happens, how do I say this ba? Parang yung sinabi ni Sir kanina, global warming, diba? Bakit nahihirapan tayo kumilos doon? So, medyo involved ako sa mga engagements related to ESG. Ang common misconception kasi when it comes to the planet and the people is that you have to sacrifice the planet, diba? Usually this comes in the term of natural resources. Tapos, minsan kailangan mo rin gumawa ng necessary evils pagdating sa tao. Diba, minimilap natin yung tao natin. Hindi natin binibigyan ng happy work environment and stuff like that. Kasi we need to make profit. Tapos yung profit naman na yun, magtatabi rin naman tayo for, magdodonate tayo sa environmental organization, sa social organization, diba, charities. Pero, that's actually somewhat of a misconception kasi we're learning more. So, we don't need to sacrifice the present in order to achieve, we don't need to sacrifice a good future, diba? A future where we don't have to feel so hot because of climate change, just to have a good present. Diba? Pero anong nangyayari ngayon? Diba? Businesses really want profits all the time. So profits, kahit masira yung planet, kahit nakakaapak tayo ng tao, diba? So in a way, that's also myopic na in the long term for the planet. Within an organization, ito yung mga common scenario na minsan kumukuha tayo ng short-term profit, pero dahil sa short-term profit na yun, we're losing avenues for long-term success. Diba? So that's myopic behavior. Usually, kinakambal sila. No? They don't necessarily mean the same thing, pero they have the same effects. Diba? Hindi pa rin kayo aligned as an organization. So, ayun. Before we move on from this slide, diba? Hopefully you see how important it is to evaluate your people properly. Okay? So, ayun. So, may na-miss ba ako? I think okay naman tayo dito. So, okay. Now, sabi natin, when you evaluate people, when you evaluate your managers, it has to be fair and effective. And for it to be fair, it has to be diba, reasonable. So eto, hindi natin papag-usapan masyado kasi this is on standards. Diba? We talked about it last time. We have ideal standards, we have practical standards, we have normal standards. Diba? So, dun papasok yung discussion of how reasonable yung metrics are. Siyempre, hindi natin gagamitin yung ideal, diba? Kasi hindi nga siya maabot. Pero how do we address the issue on costs or metrics being controllable? Ayan, we have, diba, at an introductory level, we have responsibility centers. So we have 4, no? We usually group yung ating responsibility centers into the types of metrics that they have control over. So we only separate it into cost. Diba? Gumagastos ka ba? Or gumagastos ka lang ba? Diba? Kung gumagastos ka lang, hindi ka naman kumikita, bakit ako magagalit sa'yo kapag hindi ka kumita? Diba? Babantayan ko na lang yung gastos mo. Yun yung essence ng cost center. Okay? Paano naman kung hindi ka naman gumagastos pero kumikita ka? Mahirap isipin, no? Pero yun nga, diba? Pwede naman na itong department na to, siya yung gumagastos para meron tayong ibebenta. Production, diba? Meron naman yung isang department, hindi siya yung gumagawa, pero siya yung naghahanap ng pwedeng mabentahan. Sales and marketing department, diba? So kung ganun yung perspective mo, gumagastos ba si sales and marketing? Hindi. Pero may kinalaman ba siya sa kita natin? Diba? Kumikita ba siya para sa atin? Oo. So pwede mo siyang sabihin na revenue center. Diba? So ganun yung concepts niya. We have profit center. This is simply, diba? Ano ba ang profit? Revenue less cost. So, ayan. Profit is, tinitignan mo na yung kita niya, tinitignan mo rin yung gastos niya. Siyempre, dapat hindi sumobra yung gastos niya sa kita niya. Diba? We have to have profit. So, yun yung profit center. Evaluated both on cost and revenue. Ano naman tong investment center? Para kumita ka, kailangan may pinapaikot ka. Diba? In simple terms, may pinapaikot ka. Ano yung mga yun? You need to have assets in order to generate revenues. Diba? And have profits at the end. So titignan mo, sa dami ng binigay ko sa'yo para paikutin mo, ilan ba yung kinikita mo? Mamaya, ang binigay ko sa'yo 1 bilyon. Kumikita ka nga, pero yung kita mo lang 20 pesos. Diba? Worth it ka ba sa investment kung 1 billion? Section 2 pala yan, no? Sa investment, like, dun sa magfo-focus na sa financing, pero you have the concept na yung pera mo, pwede mo naman ilagay sa iba eh. Diba? Mamaya kumikita pa siya ng 5% of 1 billion. Kaysa naman sa investment center mo na 20 pesos lang kinita. Diba? Eh sa profit, kung profit center yan, sasabihin mo pa, unti lang pero at least may kita. Pero kapag in-evaluate mo with the assets, ayun pala, yung na-generate based sa assets ko, sobrang unti. So, mabilis ko lang siyang dinaanan. Ayan, meron naman tayong slides para i-distinguish further. So, like si cost center, unahin natin. Diba? So, si cost center, yun nasabi natin, tingnan natin sa paggastos niya. So, it's responsible only for the incurrence of cost. Okay? So, when you measure a department based on yung incurrence of cost, we're talking about one thing here. Ayan, nandito na siya. It is efficiency. Again, diba, what is the difference between effectiveness so meron tayong effectiveness. Sorry, ang bagal ko magsulat. And then efficiency. Effectiveness, naabot mo ba yung goal mo? How well are you reaching your goal? Yung efficiency mo is paano yung resources na ginagamit mo to reach that goal. Diba? So usually we talk about costs. And yun nga, hindi ka pwedeng kumita kung hindi ka gagastos. So dun sa gastos natin, we have to be efficient. Hindi naman natin sinasabi na dapat walang cost. Kasi again, necessary siya. Diba? Hindi ka pwedeng kumita kung hindi ka gumastos. Diba? Huwag niyong kakalimutan yun. So, ayan. Paano natin in-evaluate ang cost center? Sa efficiency niya, diba? Kung paano yung gastos niya, is it just through the impact ng gastos niya? Hindi, diba? Kaya nga ang haba ng discussion natin last time, diba? Last week, 4 hours tayo only on variance analysis ng cost. Kasama rin naman yung revenue, pero ayan, diba? Pag cost center ka, usually ito ang evaluation metric mo. Yung variance analysis measures na nakita natin last week. So, binigyan ka ng standard, nilalampasan mo ba yung standard? Are you spending more than you're expected to spend? Diba? Because if you are, ayun, baka may problema tayo. So, ano examples natin dito? Human Resources Department, pwede yan. Bakit? Kumikita ba ang human resource? Hindi, di ba? Support function siya. So, section D pa kasi yun, no? Pero you have something called the value chain. Meron kang processes na kumikita para sa'yo. Pero para magkaroon ka ng processes na gano'n, kailangan meron kang processes to support yung value creating processes mo. Isa na yun yung human resources, actually lahat to, no? Human resources, IT, accounting, hindi yan kikita. Pero kung wala yan, diba? Kung wala kang human resource department, saan mo kukuha yung mga tao mo na gagawa ng product mo? Saan ka maghahanap ng tao para gumawa ng services na binibenta mo? Diba? Kung wala kang IT, ayan, diba? Paano ka na when it comes to information structures, diba? Yung mga softwares mo, diba? Siyempre, accounting, alam na natin kung anong purpose natin. Diba? Pero, ayun, hindi naman sila kumikita. So, paano mo sila i-evaluate? Based on efficiency. Pero, again ha, the goal is not about reducing costs as low as it can go. Hindi dapat ganon. Kasi, we have to have, ano to? We have to have what? We have to have quality. Diba? Hindi ka pwedeng mag-super baba ng cost kung maapektuhan naman yung quality mo within the organization. Okay? Mamaya, babaan mo yung accounting department, sige, isang bookkeeper lang. Para sa organization natin na 10,000 tao, wala naman yung gagawin kung hindi mag-record lang. Diba? Baka ganun yung iniisip mo. Tapos, kung hihingi ka, ala, bakit nanulugi ako? Diba? Tatanungin mo, bakit ako nanulugi? Tapos tatanungin mo yung nag-iisang bookkeeper mo na sa sobrang laki siguro sa sobrang laki siguro ng organization mo, hindi niya na alam kung saan kukunin yung figures. Tatanungin mo, bakit ako nanlulugi? Hindi niya rin masasagot. How can you make a good decision? Diba? So, mga ganong example lang. So, ayan, parang service center. Ayan. Diba? Yung makikita niyo sa cost allocation, support centers, service centers, yun yan. It's a type of cost center that provides services to other departments. So, titignan mo gaano siya ka-effective, gaano siya efficient, and then titignan mo rin kung paano i-allocate yung cost across different departments na gumagamit ng service na yun. Mamaya natin papag-usapan yan. We have slides on cost allocation. So, anong susunod? Ayan. Kung may efficiency, may effectiveness rin. So, yun na si revenue center. Paano natin siya in-evaluate? Ganun din. Meron tayong sales variance analysis. Yung ginawa natin last time. So, tinitignan mo lang kasi siya. Hindi naman siya gumagastos eh. Kumikita lang siya. So, tinitignan mo. Gaano siya effective? Gaano siya ka-effective na kumita? So, naalala niyo yung mga sales variances natin. Yung, meron pa tayong market size, market share, umaabot pa sa ganun. Product mix. Diba? So, doon mo siya in-evaluate. Are they selling the products or are they focusing on the products that have the highest contribution margin? Diba yung pinaka-kumikita na product, yun ba yung binibenta nila agad? Effective ba yung marketing natin? Are we capturing yung ating market? Diba? So yung mga tipong ganun. So it goes without saying, sales and marketing department, nandito na. Retail store, bakit kasama to? Sir, hindi ba pwede? I mean, like, mali yan kasi ang retail store, meron rin naman siyang gastos. Baka may investment ka pa para gawin yung store na yun. Ang common example niya is revenue center. Bakit? Kasi, again, bibigay ako ng explanation. Pero may sasabihin din ako pagkatapos na ito. Ang retail store mo kasi, anong purpose niya? Diba? You're putting a physical store somewhere para you can reach a wider target demographic. Para mas marami kang benta. So, anong goal ng store mo? Is it producing the items? Hindi. You're just trying your best to sell yung items na binibigay doon sa store na yan. So, good example siya ng revenue center. Pero dito pa lang gusto kong sabihin sa inyo, hindi naman to set in stone. Hindi yan set in stone. Meron nga dati, CMA exam question, cost center yung classification niya dati, pero now that we're learning more, it's part of our revenue center na. Ano yun? Ito, sales and marketing department. Kung titignan mo yung old questions, diba? Or yung old mindsets ng old offers, sasabihin nila, cost center yan. Kumikita ba yan? Yung marketing department natin? Sila pa mismo yung nagbebenta sa customer? Meron ba silang customer touch point para ibigay yung item? Sasabihin nila wala. Diba? Kaya cost center dapat. Pero ano yung mali doon sa mentality na yun? If you are the marketing department and ginawa kang cost center, anong gusto mong gawin? You want to be efficient. So babawasan mo costs mo? Babawasan mo yung marketing efforts mo? Anong mangyayari sa demand for your product? Bababa rin yan. Diba? So nagkaroon tayo ng ibang mindset, sabi natin, hindi. Revenue center dapat siya. Kasi, pag linagay mo siyang revenue center, anong kino-communicate natin sa managers natin? Diba? Just like budgets are the communication of the company's goals, strategies, tactics. throughout the whole organization. Yung mga evaluation metrics natin, standards natin for evaluation, communication rin yan sa tao natin. Diba? If we tell them that you're being evaluated based on this, sinasabi natin na dapat dyan ka magaling. Diba? So sabi natin sa marketing department natin, dati cost center siya. So ano sinasabi natin? Dapat efficient ka? Dapat hindi ka gumastos. Diba? Yun yung kino-communicate mo sa kanila. Diba? And again, that's a big part of evaluating your people. You have to communicate what you expect from them. Diba? And your communication or your expectations, ayun nga, it has to be fair, it has to be effective. Yun rin yung pag-evaluate mo sa kanila. It's not good practice at all to evaluate someone based on something that you did not set as an expectation from them. Tama naman, di ba? Ayoko sa taong maingay, hindi ko sinabi sa'yo. Di ba? Tapos, hindi mo naman alam, nag-ingay ka, bigla kitang tinalakan. How would you feel? Diba? Pangit, diba? Ano ba naman to? Sinabi mo na lang sana, para hindi ko ginawa. Diba? Or, when it comes to work, sasabihin ng tao mo sa'yo, bakit ganun, sir? Hindi mo naman sinabi sa akin na ito pala yung hanap mo. Kaya, hindi kayo align. Nagkakaroon ng goal incongruence. Diba? And, ayun nga, the whole organization as a whole suffers. So, anong ginawa natin? Marketing department, sabi natin, mali kami nung una. Hindi ka dapat magbawas ng gastos mo. Gumastos ka. Basta, pinapataas mo yung kita. Ayan. Diba? So, mas maganda siyang revenue center. See? Through the passage of time, we learn more things. Nagbabago rin yung perspective. I don't know if I should say this, pero yun nga, diba? For exam purposes, yes, may mga bagay na set in stone. Pero sa CMA, wala kang inaaral na hindi nagbabago. Kasi these are all solutions to problems that existed in the past or currently exist or risks na possible na maging problem sa future. Diba? These are all solutions. These are all tools para maabot pa rin natin yung goals natin. Diba? So, pag titingnan mo to, later kasi, we can talk about it right now. Profit center, di ba? Evaluated siya both on cost and revenue. Tignan naman yung examples niya. Meron ka rin branch, di ba? May department ka within a store. May product lines ka, manufacturing plants. Baka itanong mo rin dito, sir, yung manufacturing, kung production yan, mamaya, wala naman pala siyang kinalaman sa revenue, bakit sinama mo siya sa profit center? Hindi ba cost center yan immediately? Yes, pwede. Pero it depends on the context of the organization. Okay? Para siyang notes. Diba? Wala namang ang notes sa music, diba? Hindi yan tama o mali. Depende yan sa context ng kanta. Diba? Mamaya, kumanta ka ng note, mali naman yung key. Diba? Pero kung iniba mo yung key ng kanta, tama naman pala yung note na yun. Diba? So, you have to use your professional judgment. Kung manufacturing plant siya, doon rin siya nagbebenta, diba? Tumatanggap siya ng order within that plant. Oh, why not profit center siya? Diba? So, kasi, kumikita siya, kasi tumatanggap siya ng order directly from the customer. Pero, nag-incur siya ng cost syempre kasi nag-produce siya. Diba? And finally, investment center. Ano examples natin dito? So, ang profit center, hindi ko na, profit margin ang pag-evaluate sa kanya. What do we mean by this? So, we look at kung gaano kalaki yung profit na na-generate mo. Usually, tinitignan natin as a percentage of revenue. Diba? Kasi tinitignan mo kung ang revenue mo is, kumare, 100. Tapos, after all of your cost, ang natira lang sa profit mo, kung titignan mo, 5% lang ng profit. Matutuwa ka ba o hindi? Depende yan sa'yo. Pero kung hindi ka natutuwa dito, kailangan mo tignan. Kulang ba yung revenue na na-generate natin? Or, diba, sobra ba yung costs natin? So, it's a question of both. Are we effective and are we efficient? Okay? Ang final dyan is investment center. So, we look at the profit within the context of the investment na pinasok natin. Kaya meron tayong ibang evaluation metrics. We have return on investment. Paano natin ito kinocompute? May separate slide tayo pero i-advance na natin para mabilis tayo. Yung profit natin divided by, diba? In general, yung assets natin or yung investment base. Diba? Asset or investment. Diba? Bakit? Kasi ang perspective natin dito, kung nagpasok ako ng 1 million, hindi ako magsisettle sa kita na 5 pesos lang. Diba? So, yun yung ROI. Tinitignan mo in percentage. Ilan ba yung kinita mo compared sa assets na pinasok mo? Ganun rin naman sa residual income. We'll talk about this later. And then economic value added. So this one is residual income. This one is economic value added. We have separate slides for this later. So, ayan, anong example niya? Ito na yung pinaka-common. When you see a business unit, kasi group yan ng assets na revenue generating or cash generating. Diba? A subsidiary, syempre, pinasukan mo yan ng investment. Pinasukan mo yan ng assets. And then, responsible siya for both costs and revenue. Diba? So, may times na mayroon pang questions na minsan hindi sila pareho eh. What do I mean by this? Parang may isang question, ang best answer niya for yung example is profit center. Tapos, nung pinakita siya dun sa isang question, nandun din naman siya sa choices, pero yun pala part siya ng investment center. You have to use your professional judgment to see what we are trying to evaluate here. Diba? Mamaya, subsidiary yan, pero ayaw pala ni management tignan yung asset base niya. Gusto niya lang tignan kung gaano ka-effective and efficient yung subsidiary na yun. E di gagawin siyang profit center. Diba? Pero hindi yun madalas na makikita mo sa exam. Ha? Pag nakita mo to, usually investment center na yan. Pero things like stores, diba? Etong branches, etong departments, diba? Mamaya, itanong sa'yo kung profit center or investment center siya. Best case, if it's not as big as a subsidiary, baka ang hanap sa'yo ng question is, profit center lang siya. Hindi naman madalas yung mga tanong na gano'n. Very clear naman sila kung anong gusto mong evaluate. Like, ang common question na nakikita ko, when it comes to classifying responsibility centers is this. These are the metrics of ABC company. Tapos, revenue from blah, blah, blah. Revenue from blah, blah, blah. Based on that information, what type of responsibility center is the department? Ayan, syempre, revenue lang ang nakikita mo. May nakikita ka bang costs? Wala. Revenue center siya agad. Ganun naman mismo yung usual style pagtanong dito. Pero if worst comes to worst, you have to learn how to use your professional judgment. Ha? Tingnan mo lagi yung context ng problem and what is needed by management. Alright? Sige. So yun siya. What's next? What do we have to talk about next? Meron tayong contribution income statement. Bakit? Kasi, tignan mo to. Meron kang iba-ibang investment, meron kang iba-ibang responsibility center. Tapos, they're evaluated on different things. So, pag cost, na pag-usapan natin, meron kang variance analysis. Pag revenue, meron ka ring sales variance analysis. Diba? How about sa profit centers mo? And sa investment centers mo? How do you know which ones are performing? Kasi meron tayong konting problema dito, which we'll talk about later on. Pero, bago mo sagutin yun, paano mo malalatag yung performance ng isang segment? Diba? So, we have the contribution income statement. So, it's one way to identify easily the performance of different managers or departments. Tapos, ayun, kinaklasify rin natin yung cost according to who controls them. Bakit kailangan to? Kung gagamitin mo yung traditional way of presenting financial performance, di ba yung may cost of goods sold, sales, less cost of goods sold, is gross profit. Anong tawag doon? Sorry. Nablanko ako. Pero yung traditional na income statement. How do you classify? Anong sabi natin? Managers have to be evaluated based on what is reasonable and controllable. How do you know what's controllable? Diba? So yung sinasabi ni bullet point number 2. The contribution income statement helps us classify kung sino nagko-control ng isang cost. And eto nga yung itsura niya, diba? Familiar naman kayo dito eh. I-expand lang natin within the context of responsibility centers. Kasi parehas naman siya. Meron tayong sales, variable cost, tapos after variable cost, we get contribution margin. Diba? Ang variable cost, you can split that into manufacturing cost, and then variable selling and admin. Tapos, diba, yung fixed cost naman, pwede mo na siyang i-segregate into controllable ba yan? Isa yun, controllable ba siya? So this can be used to evaluate managers. Pwede naman na, controllable ba siya? Hindi. Pero, kung nawala yung segment na yan, ma-incur pa rin ba natin? Is it, what's the word? Traceable. Is it traceable to that department? Diba? Iba yan eh. Pwede naman na hindi mo siya i-control. Hindi siya kayang i-influence ni manager. Pero, the fact is, diba, kung nawala yung department na yun, mawawala rin yung fixed cost na yun. So that's something that we call, traceable fixed cost. Non-controllable but traceable. So ito yun Meron kang controllable fixed cost, meron kang traceable, meron ka naman yung hindi mo na nga control. Pag nawala pa yung department mo, meron pa rin yung cost na yun. That's called allocable, diba? Allocated, or common fixed costs. So usually makita mo isang buong fixed cost, pwede mo actually siyang i-subdivide into these 3 classifications when we're talking about responsibility centers. So paano natin siya ginagamit? Ito siya. How do you know kung ilan yung nakakontribute ng isang department sa profits mo? Hindi naman yung nagbabago porket responsibility centers ang tawag eh. In general, if you want to know how much we earn because we're selling 1 unit, ang tinitignan natin is contribution margin, diba? Which is sales less variable costs. So, if you want to see kung gaano ka-efficient when it comes to manufacturing, diba, nakabenta ka, based sa nabenta mo, ilan ba doon yung gastos mo para i-manufacture yung item? Ayun, meron kang manufacturing contribution margin. Diba? Tapos, pwede mong ibawas after yung variable selling and admin to get yung mismong contribution margin. Bakit mo hinihiwalay? Diba? Sir, bakit ba ang dami natin sinusolve? Hindi yan para sa wala. Diba? Bakit ang dami rin natin sinusolve sa variance analysis? Because we want to ask more intelligent questions. Diba? How efficient am I? May kinalaman ba ang selling and admin sa efficiency mo? Wala. Dito ako tumingin. Diba? Tapos titignan mo rin, as a percentage of my sales, yung marketing costs ko ba per unit? Diba? Worth it pa ba? Naabot ko pa rin ba yung marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost para maabot ko yung necessary sales ko? Edi dito ako tumingin. Diba? Kaya natin hinihiwalay. And that's the exact reason bakit rin natin hinihiwalay yung fixed cost natin. Diba? Paano yung manager natin? Is he controlling the costs properly? So titignan natin etong buo, variable costs and yung fixed cost na controlled niya. Kaya titignan natin yung short-run performance measure. Okay? Alright. So, this is also called, etong short-run performance measure mo, sorry dapat yun na lang yung linagay ko. This is controllable margin. So, controllable margin. So, controllable margin. Ito yung profit na napalabas niya, na kontrolado niya, diba, na-influence ni manager. Alright? So, nakita natin. Kasi efficiency isn't just with variable costs. Diba? titignan mo rin yung fixed. Pero again, not all fixed costs are controllable. Diba? So, kapag nakuha mo na yung controllable margin, what happens kapag binawas mo yung non-controllable fixed cost pero traceable to the department? Ano na ang tinitingnan mo? Ito na yung segment margin. What are we saying? We're not just looking at the performance of the manager now. Diba? Dinadagdag na natin yung mismong segment as a whole. Diba? Kasi may fixed cost ka naman para may ipatayo yan. Like for example, are you renting a space? Hindi naman kontrolado ni manager kung gaano kalaki o kababa yung binabayaran mong rent. Diba? Fixed yan. Pero kung wala yung department na yun, hindi mo gagastusin yung rent na yan. Diba? Kaya, ayun, ang segment margin, even though it's not controllable by the manager, anong nangyayari dito? It's still a long-term na it's a measure of the long-term performance of the manager. Bakit? Nababawi niya ba yung cost na yun? Kasi directly tied siya sa department niya eh. So, dapat nababawi niya rin. Kung kaya niyang i-mitigate, kaya niyang bawasan yung cost na controlled niya, ang goal niya dapat doon is, in the long run, makakontribute siya sa costs. Makakontribute siya sa pag-recover ng costs for the company as a whole. So it starts with his department, diba? Traceable fixed cost, and ideally, mababawi mo rin yung allocated or common fixed costs. Okay? So yun na nga yun. Segment margin doon lang sa department na yun. And then ibabawas mo yung common fixed costs. Ito na yung income na generate nung segment na yan. Sir, bakit may common costs? Kasi yun na nga, diba? In the long run, kailangan mabawi mo rin yung common cost of the company as a whole. Kung sasabihin mo kasi na meron kang department A, B, C. Tapos dito, nasa marginal analysis kasi yun. So, we might not talk about it right now. Pero, meron ka kasing shutdown or continue to operate ng problems. Saan ka tumitingin dun? Usually kasi tumitingin ang management dito sa income. Pero, malay mo naman kasi, nagko-contribute pa rin naman yung segment na yun. So, saan mo makikita? Sorry. Actually, dito yun. Sa segment margin. Kapag kumikita siya ng 500,000, anong ibig sabihin na? Tapos yung allocated lang ibig sabihin kung mawala yung segment, hindi mawawala yung common cost na yan. Sabihin mong 700,000 siya. Anong mangyayari dito? Ang income mo is negative 200,000. Kung ikaw si management, chances are sasabihin mo, ay, tanggalin na natin yung segment na yan para kumita tayo. Pero, mawawala ba si allocable common cost? Or si common cost? Or si common cost, sorry. Nandun na nga. Hindi ko nabasa. Sorry. So, mawawala ba si allocated fixed cost? Hindi. So, mawawalan ka ng 500,000 na kita. Pero nandyan pa rin yung 700,000 na gastos mo. Ano mangyayari sa'yo? Diba? Naging less profitable ka as an organization. Pero does that mean na kailangan, porket mataas yung segment margin, hindi mo na parang all good na yan sa'yo forever? Kailangan mo rin tingnan. If you have a choice between the current Department A, tapos if you could, diba, kung pwede kang magpatayo ng Department B, na mababawi niya pa rin yung common cost, anong pipiliin mo? Diba? So, dun ka na lang kay D. Kasi in the long run, mamaya, may Department A ka. Ang common cost mo is 1 million. Ang Department A segment margin niya, 200,000. Si B, ang segment margin niya is 300,000. Tapos si C mo mas mataas. Ayan, valedictorian natin yan, 400,000. Magkano to lahat? This is only 900,000, I think. Yeah. 900,000 lang yan. Nababawi mo ba yung common cost mo? Diba? So, mamaya sabihin mo, hindi, kumikita naman lahat. Diba? Individually. Pero as a whole, kung hindi mo mabawi yung common cost mo, anong mangyayari sa'yo? Lubog yung company mo. kailangan mo mag-shutdown as a whole. Diba? So these are the things that you need to consider. So, eto, may example tayo. So, may mga problem rin dyan, no? Ako, mahilig akong gumagawa ko ng exam. Pinapagsama ko tong Division 1 and Division 2. Ayun, for the company as a whole, tas its divisions. Usually, it's just Division 1 plus Division 2, makukuha mo si company as a whole. So, $3,000 plus $7,000, ang net revenue ng company as a whole is $10,000. So, bantayan nyo rin yan, ha? May mga problems na gano'n. Minsan, wala si 900 dito. Paano mo siya isosolve? Erroneous na ba yung problem? Hindi naman. Kung 3,900 yung for the whole company, 3,000 kay Division 2, yung minus mo lang, lalabas si 900 for Division 1. So, ayan. Ganun lang naman. Ito yung itsura ng contribution income statement kapag may mga divisions na. Now, kung mapapansin mo, bakit dito sa example na to, sir, hindi naman niya hinatik yung common costs. May problema ba tayo dun? Actually, hindi naman. Mas maganda na hindi mo ina-allocate. Hindi mo siya ina-allocate para hindi ma-distort yung perception ni management sa profitability ng divisions. Diba? Kasi imagine mo, nag-allocate ka. Lalo na kung mas mababat sana yung contribution or segment margin. Tingnan mo siya. Sabihin natin 300 lang to. Tapos, ang ginawa mo, 30% kasi yung net revenue ng Division 1 is 3,000, Division 2, 7,000. So, kung doon mo i-base, kunwari, yung allocation mo ng common cost. Pero mali ito, ha? Huwag nyo gagawin in practice, please. For the love of God. Wag. Diba? We'll get to that later kung bakit wag. So, kunwari, ganun mo siya in-allocate. Yung controllable, ay yung common cost mo magiging 300 din. Anong sasabihin mo? Ay, nako, hindi pala kumikita si Division 1. Itapon mo na. Diba? So, same problem that we discussed before. Nakaka-distort siya sa perception ng management on how profitable a division truly is. Alright, so, at times, mas magandang hindi mo na lang i-allocate si common cost. Makikita mo naman kung as a whole, ipagsama mo lang tong dalawa. Nandito naman na siya Yung total na segment margin, nare-recover niya ba tong si common fixed cost? Diba? Pwede naman yan. So, kung makakita kayo later on ng contribution income statement na, wala, hindi siya nag-allocate ng common cost. Erroneous yung question, hindi. Diba? Pwede naman yun. Actually, it's even better. So, ayun. Okay tayo sa contribution income statement. Pero yun yung problema natin. What if you have to allocate common costs? So, in general, mas maganda na wag na lang. In total mo na lang tignan yung performance. Pero if you had to, paano mo gagawin? Diba? So, let's move on to the allocation of common costs. So, ano bang goal natin dito? It's best not to, pero if you have to make sure that it provides accurate departmental and product costs. Diba? Ito, very important. It motivates managers to make their best effort. Bakit hindi natin i-allocate ang common cost based sa kita, sa revenue? Tingnan mo ito. Pwede naman, diba? Si Division 2, mas marami naman siyang pwedeng i-absorb na common cost kasi mas malaki yung kita niya. Bakit hindi ko bibigyan ng mas malaki? Ano sabi natin kanina? How you evaluate is also how you communicate your expectations. Diba? And part of evaluating, yun na nga, diba? Yung pag-allocate mo rin ng common costs. Kasi sinasabi mo, ito yung nagamit mo. Diba? Kasi common costs like administrative. Diba? Ano pa ba yung magandang example ng common cost? Kasi medyo nabablanko ako. Inisip ko department-wide. So, stuff like utilities and whatnot. Pwede naman. Sige, sabihin na natin Division 1, Division 2. Rent. Diba? Kunwari, common space sila. Now, mag-allocate ka ng rent. Anong method mo? Kung mag-activity-based costing ka, pwede naman yung square meters na ginagamit, di ba? Or head count. Kasi marami siyang tao, chances are marami rin siyang ginagamit. Or pwede rin naman yung number of machines niya. For example lang. It makes sense, di ba? Kasi tinitignan mo on the perspective na ilan ba yung nagamit niya. Doon tayo mag-allocate. Di ba? So example lang yun. Ha? Pero what if revenue yung basis natin? So sabihin natin, Division 2, malakas ka kumita. Kaya sa'yo namin ilalagay yung bulk ng common costs. Anong effect nun? Di ba bababa yung operating income niya? So anong sinasabi mo sa tao mo? Ang sinasabi mo, kapag kumita ka, babawasan na namin yung operating income mo kasi sa'yo namin ilalagay yung costs. Kasi ikaw yung pinaka-kumikita. Kung ikaw yung manager, mamamotivate ka bang kumita? Hindi. Kasi, kung kumita pala ako, mababawasan pa rin naman yung income namin kasi sa akin pala mapupunta lahat ng cost. So, na-achieve niya ba yung number 2? Hindi, diba? Hindi mo na-motivate yung manager mo. So, don't use revenue. I can't imagine a situation na as in super useful siya. Kung may naisip kayo, share niyo lang. At least, let's all broaden our perspectives. Pero sa ngayon, wala pa akong nakita. Provide a fair evaluation of manager's performance. So, very similar lang. This is yung effective dapat ang evaluation. Ito naman, fair siya sa tao natin. So it has to provide incentives for managers to make decisions that are consistent with the company's goals. Ayun na nga, diba? When we evaluate people, gusto rin natin meron tayong goal congruence. Diba? Doon lang babalik yun. And then justify cost for transfer prices or cost-based contracts. Later, we will talk about transfer prices and transfer pricing. Okay? Sige. So, again, ano ba ang common cost? In case I fail to explain it or hindi kayo familiar, ayan, these are costs that are shared by 2 or more responsibility centers. Okay? So, ayun na, parang overhead from admin, IT, human resources, accounting. Diba? So, lahat naman ng responsibility center, kailangan yan from the main office. So, baka sabihin nyo, bakit hindi na lang separate yung accounting nila? Diba? Pwede naman, pero later on sa section D, you'll see why. Diba? Bakit mas efficient na single lang ang admin mo? Ang human resources mo is centralized, accounting mo is centralized. Diba? There are things that you can decentralize. At may mga bagay rin na mas magandang centralized. Diba? Saka nyo papag-usapan yan kasi hindi ko naman handle ang section D. So, ayan. So, pag yung service departments na to, yung IT mo, human resources, accounting, minsan, kahit na common cost siya, kailangan rin natin tingnan yung usage. Diba? Mamaya, si Department A, sobra pa yung paggamit niya kay IT department compared kay B. So, kailangan mo rin i-reflect yun sa performance niya, yung usage. So, how do we do that? There's a number of systems that we can use. So, pwede ka mag-cause and effect. Diba? Yun yung ina-advocate ko kanina. When you talk about activity-based costing, usually ito yun. Diba? Sila ba yung gumamit ng maraming cost drivers? Ano ang cost drivers? Ano ang cost pool? Ano ang cost object? Section D na naman. Diba? Pero, just so we are aligned, ito yun. Ikaw ba yung rason kung bakit maraming gastos si IT? Diba? Kasi the more that they have to do, the more na kailangan mong gumastos sa labor hours. Diba? Kung may special needs ka na software, diba? Baka kailangan nila ng licenses, tools, and stuff like that. So, kung ikaw yung reason, or ikaw yung gamit ng resource na yun, edi mas magandang i-allocate sa'yo. So, eto pwedeng based on usage. Diba? So, ayan. Consumption. stuff like that. So what's an example we can talk about right now? Utilities in the form of electricity. Diba? So electricity, paano mo i-allocate kay A? Paano mo i-allocate kay B? Pwede naman na tinignan mo yung kilowatt hours nila. Diba? Tapos doon mo i-base yung proration. Kung hindi available yung information na yun, what if capital intensive kayo? Ang daming machines. Tignan mo sa machine hours. Kasi pag pinatakbo mo yung machine mo, syempre, kumakain ka rin ng kuryente. Diba? So, pwede rin yun, diba? Sa dami ng machine hours. And so on and so forth. Paano naman yung benefits received? So, this is a different perspective. No? Tinitignan natin sa cause and effect kung ilan yung nagagamit. Pero sa benefit received naman, pwede naman na hindi ikaw yung trigger ng use. Pero ikaw yung pinaka-nakareap ng benefits. Diba? So, how do you measure this? Let's make an example, no? Parang, kunwari, sa space. Yung isang division, yung rason bakit kayo nagre-rent ng manufacturing plant, pero ikaw naman pala yung gumagamit ng 70% ng plant. Diba? Sino yung nagbe-benefit? Ikaw. So, dapat 70% na rent sa'yo. Mga tipong gano'n. How about fairness or equity? Ayan. So, alright. Fairness and equity, this can be based on, yun nga, what is reasonable or fair. So, pwede naman na hindi siya based sa usage or sa mismong quantitative effect of the benefits that you received. You can look at it from a point based on management's judgment of what can be fair. So, eto, since based on judgment, I won't give examples of tangible na figures. No? Pero, ayun. It might not, diba? Baka kailangan mo maglagay. Sorry, nakukulangan ako ng words. Pero, baka kailangan mo pang tumingin ng additional context. Additional information bago ka mag-allocate. And finally, we have yung ability to bear. Yun yung sinabi ko kanina. Yung mga iba kasi, nag-allocate sila based on revenue. What's an example of that? Yun nga, nag-allocate ka ng revenue kasi in your mind, siya yung pinaka-kumikita. Kaya niyang i-absorb yung cost na yun. Tama ba yun? Diba? So, ina-allocate mo siya based on the ability to bear that cost. Pero, yun naman pala, nade-demotivate yung managers mo. Nevertheless, it's still a system that we can use to allocate cost. It's just not something that we advocate for sa exams. Maraming question dyan, ha? Tatanong sa'yo, which of the following should not be used to evaluate yung department na to? And yung isa dun is always based on revenue. So, kung pag makita nyo yun sa exam, ha, bonus nyo na yan. So, again, do we need to allocate costs all the time? Hindi naman. There are cases na hindi na lang tayo nag-allocate ng costs. We just look at the percentage of how each department helps in recovering yung common cost. Diba? Yun, again, sabi natin, it's one of the best ways to avoid myopic behavior, to avoid goal incongruence, diba? To avoid demotivating yung tao natin. Pwede na hindi na lang tayo mag-allocate. Isang buong figure na lang siya na common cost. So, alright. How do we allocate common costs? So, we have two. Ito lumalabas na sa exam. Meron na akong prof. No? So, sa favorite professors ko, sabi niya magtitop daw siya ng CMA exam. Pero, ano nangyari sa kanya? Tinanong siya sa essay. Ano yung incremental cost allocation? Tapos, nakalimutan niya. Or actually, hindi niya nakita sa materials niya. So, hindi niya nasagot. Pero, it's as simple as this. And hopefully, we don't make the same mistake. Standalone cost allocation and incremental cost allocation, yung usual two ways. So, ano ba yung standalone? Ito yung, tinitignan mo yung, ina-allocate mo siya proportionately among all users. Based on what? Based on yung proportion, diba, of the entire organization. Yun yung sa systems na pinag-usapan natin kanina. It could be because of the cause and effect. It could be because of the benefits na nakuha ng department na yun. Diba? So, eto na yung gusto nyo i-solve. May direct method, step method, reciprocal method. So, ano yung direct method? If you have a support department, kunwari, support. Tapos meron kang A and then B. Ito yung mga nasa value chain natin, kunwari. Ang cost ni S is 100,000. Si A gumamit ng 60%, si B gumamit ng 40%. Ay, hindi pala. Wait lang. Gawa tayo ng mas magandang example para matakal natin lahat. Sige. So, sabihin natin dalawa yung service departments natin. So, meron tayong service 1, meron tayong service 2. Ano yung direct method? Ito lang siya. If gumamit si A ng 20%, or sabihin na lang natin, ano mo mas maganda? Okay, sige. Sabihin natin 35%. Sorry, ang arte ba? 35%. Tapos si B, gumamit siya ng 40%. Ilan na lang natitira dito? 35 plus 40, you have 75%. May 25% ka pang i-allocate. Sabihin natin na sa S1, so this is S1 costs. Ay, yung remaining 25% na pala, sorry. Ang gumamit nun, si support number 2. Tangible example, pwede naman na eto si HR, eto rin si IT. Hindi naman sila pwede magkahiwalay sa isa't isa. HR has to use software, IT has to have people. Diba? So these are support departments, pero they also have to support each other while supporting yung main revenue generating departments. So, paano naman sa S2 costs? Support department number 2. E di sabihin natin, ang ginamit ni B is 50%. Ito naman, si A 40% ang ginamit niya. Ang nagamit naman ni S1 is 10% yung natitira. How do you use direct method? It's simple. Huwag mong isipin yung service department. So, tanggalin mo yan, tanggalin mo yan. Sorry, I'm not sure if I should be discussing this pala. Parang section D yata siya, no? Pero at least may intro kayo. Hindi na lang tayo gumawa monetary figures. Para at least may thrill pa sa section D. Alright. So, sa direct method, huwag mong isipin yung ginamit ni service departments. Pag step method, titignan mo or gagamit ka ng judgment to see kung sino yung pinaka gumamit dito sa support departments. Like, ngayon, sa example natin, mas marami bang nagamit si S2 sa services ni S1 or vice versa? Kung titignan mo, si S2, 25% ginamit niya sa S1. So, ang gagawin mo dito, si S1 muna magbibigay kay S2, and then kay A, and then kay B. Tapos, kaya step method kasi parang S1 muna, magbibigay siya kay S2, tapos kay A, and then kay B. So, magbibigay siya kay A, B, and kay S2. Tapos si S2 na magbibigay only kay A and kay B. Tapos reciprocal naman, ito medyo formulaic siya. So, bahala na kayo sa section D. Madali lang naman siyang isolve. Huwag niyong isipin na formula alien yan. It's just logic represented into letters and numbers para maging repeatable siya. Anyways, ang reciprocal, gagawa ka ng formula para ma-represent mo yung scenario na si S1, nakuha niya yung 10% ni S2, while si S2, at the same time, nakuha niya yung 25% ni S1. So, ganun yung reciprocal. Pero syempre, magbabago yung costs nila. Because kailangan nila mag-allocate sa isa't isa. Paano may solve yun? Ayan. Find out in the next episode. Section D. Alright. Hindi ko yung kukunin. So, ano yung isa? If you allocate things based on yung proportion ng use nila, diba? We have another way of allocating. It's called the incremental cost allocation. Rinarank mo yung users of the cost object according to their total usage. Diba? So, hindi mo rin-ratio and proportion based sa usage nila. Rinarank mo siya. So, kunwari, kanina, di ba? Sino yung gumamit sa S1? Ang pinakamalaki is si E at 40%. Tapos, ang susunod si A at 35%. Ang susunod si S2, diba? At 25%. Paano mo gagamitin yung incremental cost allocation? I-rank mo yung users based on activity level. Diba? Ang first rank user mo dyan, yan yung tinatawag mo na primary user. So, dun ka muna magsastop. Isipin mo, sa costs, diba? Sa costs ni S1, kung si B lang yung user, ilan yung i-allocate mo sa kanya kung siya lang yung department? Diba? Parang, if it were the only user, ilan ba yung nagamit niya talaga? Tapos kung may matitira, ayan, anong tawag dito? Kung eto primary user, ang natitirang users mo, anong tawag sa kanila? They are the incremental users. Letter I. Okay? So may primary ka, yung first, tapos meron kang incremental. Kung anong matira, yun yung iwan mo na sa kanila. So, next kay A, diba? Ano yung ibibigay mo sa kanya? Kung siya lang sana yung user, based sa dun sa natira. Tapos, finally, ayan, si S2 na lang. So, di ba, hindi ka na nag-ratio and proportion, nag-ranking ka na lang. Tapos, nag-focus ka sa may pinakamataas. Kung may natira pang i-allocate, dun may ibigay sa baba. And so on and so forth. So, yun yung difference niya. Again, standalone, parang, yun nga, diba, standalone. You're looking at each department individually and how much they used from the service. Incremental, ayan, parang, yun na, diba? Tumitingin ka lang ng isang department, tapos, dun mo na binubukas lahat. Hindi mo siya pinaproportion. Kung may matira, dun ka lang nag-move on sa next. Alright? Kaya yun sa essay, ha? Pag lumabas sa inyo, masasagot nyo? Alright. Hopefully. Diba? Siyempre, hindi porkit nasabi ko, tatatak. Diba? Kailangan din natin mag-aaral on our own. At most, the only thing that your reviewers can do for you is open the door for you. Diba? You are the one that has to walk that path. So, ayun, hopefully you do. Okay? Huwag kang titigil porkit walang nanonood sa'yo. Alright, sige. So, meron ba silang advantages and disadvantages? Ito, incremental cost allocation, definitely. It might not be as thorough as yung standalone. Ano ibig sabihin nito? What if there are costs na gusto mong i-manage effectively? Efficiently. Diba? Gusto mong makita kung efficient ba yung paggamit and meron bang department na nag-aabuso. Kasi nangyari yun may mga department na sobrang reliant sa isang support department na lahat ng attention ng support department na yun pumupunta na dun sa department na yun. Hindi niya minsan naasikaso yung ibang department. So, it's actually a structural problem, a process problem. Paano mo malalaman na may ganun? Ayan. Mas maganda bang gamitin yung incremental for that scenario? Actually, hindi, di ba? Mas maganda yung standalone para makita mo yung ratio and proportion of usage. Para masabi mo kay B na, uy, masyadong marami ang 40%. Bawasan mo. Diba? Incremental, ayan. This can be advantageous for, ayan, mga bagong responsibility centers, just like a new branch, or, ayan, it can be charged as an incremental user. Kung hindi niya pa kaya mag-bear ng cost, for example. So, yun. Ang next topic natin dito. So far, nag-intro tayo sa performance evaluation. We've discussed responsibility centers. We've also discussed common costs, diba? And how to allocate them. Computation-wise, hindi natin kunin, diba? Kasi malaking part yun ng section D. So, as long as you got the general concept of how to allocate. Ayan. And why we allocate. And yung goals kung why we allocate in certain ways. Hindi ka lalayo ha. Babalik lang tayo ulit dun lagi. How do you want to be evaluated? That is the question for today. Okay, how do you want to be evaluated? You want it to be fair, diba? And you want it to motivate you. You want it to be effective. Diba? Everything we've discussed so far are just ways, tools para maabot natin yan. Okay, huwag kang maligaw. Hindi sila separate, diba? Iba-ibang faces lang, iba-ibang perspective. Same ang goal. So, it is 7:33 on my part. Hindi muna tayo mag-break, ha? Tapusin natin yung slides para mag-break tayo before tayo mag-practice. Kasi may MCQs pa tayo. Pero right now, do you have any questions? Bago tayo mag-move on sa transfer pricing?